horror stories of women who have been captured, raped, and kept as child brides by the terrorist group ISIS. Hello, everyone. I'm Adrienne Boucher. Thank you very much for staying with us here at Sun News. But what if you weren't captured? What if you weren't forced to be a child bride? What if you went to join the caliphate and you were treated like a VIP? Well, that apparently is the case for one Canadian woman who is over in Syria and Iraq, traveling around with the terrorist group ISIS. For more on this and this pretty incredible story, I'm joined by Jonathan Halevi, who's an international securities expert, and Dr. Farzana Hassan, who is, of course, a Toronto Sun columnist. Thank you to both of you for joining me. Farzana, let me start with you. This story, she's been dubbed Toronto Jane. Her name is Lama Sharif al-Shamari. They simply referred to as LA by securities experts. This is an incredible sort of twist with what we normally hear about how ISIS is treating women. This LA, Toronto Jane, seems to have quite VIP status. Can you help explain that?
I think she's helping them monitor the behavior of women who are under their captivity, and they're the ones who are terribly oppressed. They're made to wear this veil that is of a special cloth, and even if they deviate from that, then someone has to come and punish them. So I think this Jane lady is the one who is very much in the forefront of that, and that's why she's been given VIP status.
Jonathan, she was first tracked by an Ontario-based intelligence agency, and they have been geotagging her based on her Twitter account because she's quite proud of the work that the terrorists are doing. She has a picture of someone who's been beheaded as her Twitter avatar. She makes no secret whatsoever about her support and love for their barbarism. But what do we know about how she may have been like how she have joined them? Who is she? What is her background? Do we know anything about her?
No, we don't know much about her. We know that she may be from Toronto, but we have to remember that a religious Muslim woman cannot just walk away by her own and to travel abroad. That is not, it's unacceptable in terms of Muslim values. She would be regarded as someone who is suspected of fornication. So that's why I think that we should look into the background. She must have been connected to one of the senior ISIS commanders. Maybe she get married to one of them, and she being assigned to a mission inside the caliphate, which is I think will be related to women issues. The women are regarded by ISIS a very important component of the caliphate because they are those who are responsible for building and reshaping the new generation of jihadists in the caliphate. They are assigned to educate the next generation and to prepare them to be loyal to the caliph. And in some cases, women are also involved in jihadist operations.
Yes, and I think that's, Farzana, we're going to discuss this jihadist manifesto for women in a moment, but I mean, I think that's pretty much it. It would appear that this is an individual, this is a woman who has in some way proven her worth to those that are running a terrorist group. They've allowed her to travel, unencumbered. She's been in all places. She's been in Mosul. She's been all over where the caliphate has taken over, and without any questions being asked, it would appear, at the very least, from some intelligence that we have. I just find it really reading the story about her. It's quite extraordinary because we have heard about the stories of women who, as we open the clip up with, have been kidnapped, raped, tortured, and kept as these child brides. So there's something different about this woman, Farzana.
Oh, absolutely. But that only exposes the double standards of ISIS. I mean, and they have plenty. They've captured non-Muslim women and subjected them to rape and torture and all sorts of things. And then they're luring other women, Western women, Western educated women, to come and work for them and to join this jihad, which is really a mystery because, these women actually, in my opinion, don't know what's going on there because, this latest manifesto that they publicized, talks about their role, and it's a very limited role. But, you know, the thing is that it's in Arabic, and I don't think that these Western educated women are even aware of what's going on. And when they go there, then, you know, they're subjected to all of this. And but again, you know, it's a question of how many double standards these people have, and this only exposes it.
Absolutely. Before we move on to the manifesto, I just want to ask you quickly, Jonathan, how does knowing her whereabouts and her movements help our securities agencies?
They tracked the Twitter postings and found that you know where exactly she was tweeted it, and that's helped them to locate her in several cities in Iraq, and that is very, very amazing to know that she really has been there.
All right. Well, I do want to pivot to this other discussion that I have both of you here for, and that, of course, is this jihadist manifesto that they've recently issued for women and how they should behave under the caliphate. Let's have a look at just some of the edicts that have been issued by the terrorist group ISIS on how women need to behave and what their role is. We've got a bit of a list there. They have to be age 9, they can wed. Age 16 to 17, they should be wed. Age 7 to 9, science studies. Age 10 to 12, religious studies. Age 13 to 15, Sharia law studies. And they've got quite an in-depth analysis, Farzana, about the role of women as far as cooking and cleaning, learning to sew, learning to knit. And then eventually they talk about at some point, if there are not enough men to go fight the jihad, that's when women can come into play. So again, you talked about sort of perverse ideology. I just want to read this quickly. In some cases, it says women can leave the family home to work as doctors, as teachers, or for jihad by, quote, appointment if there are not enough men to defeat an enemy attack. So again, back to that perverse sort of twisted idea of feminism.
Yes, but you know, there is a precedent in Islamic history. You know, as far as nascent Islam was concerned, there were always women out there, you know, fighting the original jihads and, you know, the early jihads of the prophetic era, you know, in the early period, in the earliest formative period of Islam. So, you know, the precedent is very much there. You know, they were always there on the battlefields, helping the soldiers, you know, tending to their needs and whatnots. But again, you know, when in times of normalcy, women are supposed to be very much confined to their homes. According to, of course, you know, this very sort of radical and fundamentalist understanding of Islam, they're basically baby factories. And there is this notion that, you know, Muslims should produce more Muslims, and this whole idea of making more Muslims is very much there. And ISIS is the one that's touting it a lot. You know, so these women are basically going to be there, you know, married at age 16 if they're very pure, even at age 9. And basically they're, you know, to produce more Muslims for this global jihad.
It's strength in numbers, I guess, really, Jonathan, is sort of the mindset.
First of all, I must correct. It's not the age of 9. It's the age of 8 and 9 months because it's a lunar year.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But if you look into what's happening here in Canada, if you go to bookstores, Islamic bookstores, and read what Canadians imams are saying, they are the same things exactly. That a woman can be a woman. Girl is eligible for marriage at age 8 and 9 months. So it's not surprising. And about all the role of women in the family, it's exactly the same. According to the books and what the imams are saying, some of the imams, that woman cannot leave her home without her husband's permission, cannot allow anybody to come to the house without the husband's permission. She must abide by his rule of the family.
Absolutely. You know, conversely, though, we have heard a couple of stories, and I'm thinking, Farzana, of 2 Australian girls who went and joined the caliphate, and then they basically were fleeing for their lives and talked about how misguided they were, and I don't know what the hell they were thinking by going and joining these jihadists, but it wasn't going to be a comfortable life. And now they want to flee, and now they want to get out, and now they want to be embraced back by their own country and be accepted back into regular society, as it were. But there's a mentality of Western women to go and present themselves, as it were, to these men as brides. I don't understand the psychology of it.
Well, I mean, you know, again, in Islam, there is this notion of spiritual equality, you know, that men and women are spiritually equal. And, you know, women are supposed to strive towards that, you know, piety, level of piety that men strive towards as well. So, you know, that really is the starting point. Of course, you know, when they get there, they're not surprised in a very pleasant way. It's a lot of oppression and whatnots that they face. But, there is this notion that they have to strive to attain piety and nearness to God. So they are, in fact, doing this as a religious obligation even, because jihad is very much an obligation. So, these women, that's really the psychology behind it. But, they also want to go and help the global jihad. They want to help these men, and they want to go and produce children for them and be their wives and help them out in any possible way that they can. But again, it's linked to this notion of piety and attaining piety.
Last word to you, Jonathan.
The main concept of the jihadists and Islam in general is you should be slave of Allah. Slave, it's totally different from the Western concept of life. And that's why these women are attracted to the force, which means to those who are strong, the jihadists, and they accept the full meaning of being slave in the path of Allah, in the path of jihad, in the path of Islam.
Okay, Dr. Farzana Hassan and Jonathan Halevi, big thank you to both of you for joining me on interesting and ongoing discussion.